There is a focus on school readiness across the country. This comes in part from the focus on the importance of the early years as a critical time for learning and development. As a result of this, all states are wanting to make sure that young children are prepared when they enter kindergarten. This slide reminds you of the definition that Kentucky has adopted for school readiness. I've also included a link to the Governor's Office of Early Childhood. This site includes a one-page definition and graphic of the school readiness definition adopted by Kentucky, and says that every child will enter school ready to engage and benefit from early learning experiences. This definition emphasizes that all areas of development are important and need to be considered when looking at school readiness. Here is the graphic used to promote school readiness. Many of you have seen this, but I want you to take some time to study it again. This graphic emphasizes the importance of looking at all the areas of development. These include general knowledge and mathematics, what we think of as more cognitive skills, health and physical well-being, motor development and health promotion, social and emotional development, getting along with others, being happy, language and communication skills, and approaches to learning. The definition and the graphic emphasize the importance of looking at whole child development when considering school readiness. By law, a child is school ready when they reach a certain age by a certain date. This has recently changed in Kentucky, and now children entering kindergarten must be 5 years old on or before August 1st. This is truly the only real measure that we have for school readiness. However, Kentucky, as well as many other states, have decided to look at other measures to see how many of their children are entering school ready. Kentucky uses the Brigance Early Childhood Kindergarten Screen 3 as a common kindergarten entry screener. This screener looks at a child's development in the areas of academic and cognitive, language, physical development, self-help, and social-emotional development. While the Kentucky definition of school readiness is more holistic, and the intent behind school readiness is to not put the burden on children to be ready, the use of the screener score may lead to this. The focus is on the skills that the child brings, which leads to trying to teach these skills and put the burden on the child to be ready. In addition to this Kentucky definition, school readiness is also thought of along these 4 dimensions established by the National School Readiness Indicators Initiative in 2005. Ready Children focuses on what the child brings to the school and their specific skills and abilities. Ready Schools is looking at the school being ready to accept all children. This means that teachers know child development and can meet children where they are and be prepared to support continued development through developmentally appropriate activities. Ready Families and Communities, this looks at what supports are available in the community to help caregivers and young children. This includes looking at collaborations with all the community partners to help support families. And approaches to learning, that motivation to learn, initiative, curiosity, being in the world and being allowed to explore it. All of these work together to help a child be ready for school. I think you can see where you fit in as a community partner, providing support to caregivers, which includes sharing information about child development and appropriate expectations for young children, being a role model for appropriate interactions with young children, and to sharing developmentally appropriate activities. Being a support for caregivers and children to help with some of the normal stress in their lives and to give them a safe place to go and interact with other adults and children. I can also see the role of the children's librarian as one who promotes and shares the ideas behind approaches to learning with all the families and caregivers served in your programs. We will talk more about this in a little bit more depth when we consider social-emotional development. While I hope that you now understand that school readiness should not just be the score on the kindergarten readiness screener, this score is reported to the public and does have a lot of emphasis placed on it. I have included a link for you to look at the kindergarten readiness statistics. This includes lots of information to look at and the kindergarten readiness scores across all different groups, prior settings, and across the school readiness domains. As you will notice, stats have not changed much over the past few years. Still, only about 50% of our entering kindergarten students are entering school ready as indicated on the screener score. And some of the most at-risk children are scoring well below this 50% mark. If you want to explore the link on the Kentucky Department of Education website for kindergarten readiness, you will find PDF summaries and Excel spreadsheets that include a breakdown of readiness scores and provide lots of detail. You can look at these state scores, county scores, and these are then broken down based on different groups, prior settings, and readiness domains. As you look through this screener, you will notice scores are reported based on different groups and prior settings in each county and also statewide. Many of the children that are scoring really low on the screener are those that you may have contact with in your libraries. These are children who are typically considered at risk. These groups include children with identified disabilities, those with limited English, and those that are living in poverty, qualify for free reduced price lunch. When looking at the prior setting for children, where they were before entering kindergarten, the children with the lowest school readiness scores are those that are not in any type of formal child care settings. Home care includes children that have not gone to any preschool or child care programs. This module focuses on two of the domains of school readiness: health and physical well-being and social emotional development. Look at the skills that are included in both of these areas. If you only consider the score on the readiness screener based on a few tasks, you are going to miss a lot of the true indicators of school readiness. While the screener does have items on motor skills and other health items to consider, some of these are only discovered after working with the child and their family and caregivers. Social emotional items are included as part of the screener and as parent report. But again, many of these things are only truly understood after working with the child and getting to know them better. While looking at the whole child and all of their development is critically important, looking more closely at physical and social emotional development can help to get a better picture of where the child is and how we can build on this foundation for learning. These domains impact all of learning as they are the foundation for a healthy start and the capacity to explore the environment, both physically moving around and feeling secure to explore. Let's take a closer look at some of the readiness scores in these two domains of the readiness screener. Remember that the average readiness screener score for the fiscal year 16-17 for all children entering kindergarten was 50.1%. These next two charts show the total numbers of children that score below, at, or above average in physical development and social emotional self-help. These are the areas focused on to get the screener score in health and physical well-being and social emotional development. On Module 1, we focused on the two groups of students with disabilities and those in home care, those not in formal child care. So I've included these stats for you to consider. These are groups that are important for you to consider and include in your library programs. However, please look at all the groups when thinking about the populations that you serve and ways that you might best support school readiness in your area. Looking at this can give you a snapshot of how different groups are performing based on the screener questions. There is also much more detail for you to explore on the Excel spreadsheets on the School Readiness website. As shared earlier, you can look at county scores in your area as well as scores based on groups, prior settings, and the readiness domains. While these stats are important and used by the state to look at readiness, I don't want you to focus too much on the actual numbers. What might be most helpful is focusing on the groups that are represented with percentage scores that are below average. This might help you plan activities for children. For instance, if the scores are low in physical development, then you might plan some more activities that will get young children up and moving around in the environment. While there are no comparable indicators across states to look at readiness, this website is one to explore to look at school readiness indicators used in other states and articles about disparities across different populations of children. Please take some time to read the attached article and then do some research on your own. Just Google school readiness definitions, school ready skills, etc. What are some things that you can share with caregivers based on this information?